We still have 10 ground crew from our province continuing to monitor hotspots in this fire, and a helicopter is available for bucketing if required. Cabin owners may notice some smoke in the area coming in the next number of weeks as there continues to be hotspots there, and as I said, it's still classified as under control and it is not out yet. The smoke is normal, and open flames or thick smoke should be reported immediately if anybody does see it. Forest resource roads previously closed in the Martin Lake area due to the wildfires reopened yesterday, and this includes access to Martin Lake, Miguel Lake, Great Rattling Brook, and Rushy Pond. So some positive news related to the Martin Lake fire. Paddy's Pond wildfire yesterday, it's great news, has been declared out. So that is great news. I know we're all very happy to hear that. That was very scary few days, of course, with regards to that wildfire moving close to subdivisions here in the St. John surrounding area. And again, just want to thank all the firefighters, all the pilots, all the staff, everybody who did incredible work to get that fire under control and now out. I've met with a number of fire departments in the St. John's region over the last few days, and they all sent individuals and they all worked together, regardless of where they came from, whether it was Pooch Cove, Torbay, Witless Bay, St. John's, CBS, surrounding areas, and they all just did tremendous work. And they all spoke about how some of them have worked in this field for decades and never saw fires like the ones they saw at Paddy's Pond and CBN over the last few weeks. So tremendous effort, tremendous bravery, and again, can't thank them enough. As for the Kingston fire, nearly 35 millimeters of rain yesterday, so that provided a strong day working on hot spots on that fire. We had 75 ground crew members from here and British Columbia with assistance again from local fire departments to make good progress on the fire yesterday. Of course, the steady rain did help, and it was a constant flow of moisture to this wildfire, but unfortunately air assets were unable to fly yesterday due to the weather, smoke, and low ceiling. It does remain an active fire, and lingering smoke is continuing to affect mostly the western boundary. The incident management team reports steady decrease in overall fire activity. However, this is still classified as out of control, and it remains estimated at about 10,095 hectares. We'll continue to monitor it throughout the day. Hopefully some air assets can get there as soon as possible this morning, but the weather may cause a delay in getting there, so we'll continue to monitor that as well. I want to speak specifically to the people in Conception Bay North. Throughout the past number of weeks, we have continued to let them know that we are committed, our government is committed to assist them in recovery efforts, and I know a number of individuals have now had the opportunity to return home or to return to their communities, having the evacuation orders lifted. And that's the first stage in assessing what recovery is going to look like as we move forward. And the Cabinet Committee has done a lot of work already, thanks to Minister Korab for leading that, and they will continue to do a lot of work, not just over the short term, but the medium and long term as well. And we just want to provide an update today on the recovery efforts for evacuees. We will include additional financial assistance and supports for households, businesses, and employees. This support is in addition to the one-time payment of $500 that has already been made a few weeks ago. And to date, 1,769 payments have been issued, which covers 3,324 total households. We've also provided $30,000 special assistance grant earlier this summer to Adams Cove, Blackhead, Broad Cove, that community as well for the earlier forest fire. Effective today, however, we are also providing an additional $500 emergency financial assistance payment to each household that was ordered to evacuate from a primary resident due to a wildfire for more than 14 days. This will further help those who have been impacted from the wildfires and assist in purchasing more essentials like food and personal supplies as they continue to be unable to return to their homes and communities. For those who received the first $500 payment, if you've already registered, of course, you do not need to register again. You'll receive the payment in the same way that you received the first one. A reminder, if you haven't registered with the Red Cross, or if you registered but didn't receive payment, please call the Red Cross. We're also announcing today new additional assistance in the form of temporary housing supports, financial assistance and support for small and medium-sized businesses that have been impacted by the wildfires, and for employees who face disruption from work. And this support reflects our ongoing commitment to the people of Conception Bay North, and it builds on the supports and partnerships that are already in place. As we've said, this is a collaborative approach, and it involves multiple departments, community and emergency partners, organizations, and of course the residents of the community to help address the evolving needs as we move forward. And to every resident and business owner affected, we will continue to stand with you. We are working around the clock to ensure you have the support you need today and tomorrow and in the road ahead as we continue to look at recovery. So with that, I'll turn it to Minister Korab, who's chair of our Cabinet Committee, to talk about specific details of the additional supports and assistance that I mentioned.
Thank you, Premier. As the Premier mentioned, the support we are announcing today is on top of the previous supports already announced. We are building on that. With the Conception Bay North fire, we know that individuals are now turning their mindset to temporary accommodations. For those with primary residence that are uninhabitable and uninsured, we are providing temporary housing assistance. This includes $1,000 per household per month for those that can find accommodations and stay with family or friends in the community. If you need to seek temporary rental accommodations, we are providing $1,500 per household per month to assist with these costs. In the event that these households cannot find either private or rental options for the short term, Newfoundland and Labrador Housing Corporation will assist them in securing placements and licensing establishments in the hospitality industry. We also know that the impacts in the community are not just on households, they are on businesses also. To help, we are providing a one-time evacuation business stipend for impacted businesses. This includes $1,500 for businesses with employees from 2 to 10 and $2,500 for businesses from 10 to 99 employees. Employers operating in the Conception Bay North who have employees who live in the region will be eligible for 42-week wage subsidy. This is an increase from the typical 28 subsidy. The Work Supports Program allocation is being increased from $1,000 to $2,000 per person to help businesses with such things to replace work, tools, equipment, and attire. We are also extending the program to self-employed individuals who are looking to restart their operations. An employment resource team is being set up at the Carbonear Employment Centre at 17 Industrial Crescent in Carbonear to support those employees who have been impacted by these wildfires. The Job Creation Partnership Program will also reopen for applications with the focus on community remediation, forestry, and tree planting. If you have any questions on these financial assistance pieces and programs, we encourage people to go to the website, on the government website, which will have all the information there. So that's gov.nl.ca. It'll be on our alerts page. So click on the yellow banner and you can visit that at gov.nl.ca/alerts. As well, we have folks on the ground at the Splash Center in Harbour Grace who have all this information to help residents that may need a little more attention and want to talk to someone in person. We want you to know you're not alone. You are our priority, and we are here for you every step of the way. I'd like to close by saying these actions are a direct result of our committee's work, which we'll be meeting again in the coming days. We've met a few times already. And those that have felt these imaginable impacts of the wildfires, this work will continue, will be ongoing. And I also want to thank the residents that have reached out to me personally through social media, through email. I just want those people to know I'm listening, we hear you, and the things you're saying to us and the things you want to see in your community going forward, we will implement those. We'll work with you as you're going to directly shape how your communities will look going forward. So this committee is about partnership as well as working hand in hand with these stakeholders, with the residents and the communities and organizations, and we're committed to delivering real support and meaningful solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And today, we're also announcing $100,000 for wildland coveralls for the volunteer fire departments throughout the province who contributed to the wildfire response over the past month. As we've said every day, volunteer firefighters are putting their lives and have put their lives on the line and set aside personal responsibilities to protect their communities and neighbors across our province. And I know and we understand this summer has been very challenging for everyone involved in the fire service across the province. And that's why we're very pleased to provide funding to purchase these wildland suits, and we will continue to work with our incredible volunteer fire departments, as we always have, to ensure they have everything they can to do their job safely. I'll ask Minister Haggie if he has any comments.
Thank you very much, Premier. Just to follow on, excuse me, from your comments about the coveralls, I mean, I think it doesn't require much imagination to think about what it feels like staggering around in 40 to 50 pounds of bunker gear in the temperatures and humidity we've had when the fires have been at their height. And the wildland fire suits are designed for that kind of environment. There are 35 departments who sent people, and it's the people we're trying to look after. Letters have gone out as late as yesterday afternoon to those departments, inviting them to let us know their needs, so we can kit out one full crew of their department for any future wildland events that we have. While we're on the subject of equipment, I think again, social media is full of fake news about how apparently there have been changes to firefighting equipment funding. Well, there certainly have. In 2021, the budget was 2.1 million, and in this fiscal year, it is 8.4 million. That's the change, not the allegations that have been made on social media. Those are all matters of public record. They're in public accounts, a committee chaired by the opposition. So I would draw your attention to that, and it's been evenly distributed across the province. The other things of note is that the AILA Centre in Lower Island Cove will close today at 5 o'clock. Its work seems to be done. The Salvation Army Mobile Command, however, will remain in the area for some time yet for those residents who need further assistance. And as Minister Corab referenced, the Carbonear Centre is now closed, and that has moved to the Splash Centre in Harbour Grace in order to facilitate cleaning and minimise any disruption to the return of students after the long weekend. So again, I close by saying, you know, be kind to your neighbours, be kind, and stay safe. So thank you very much, Premier.
Thank you, Minister. Any questions?
Is there any update on the cause of the fire or the investigation that's been taking place? We're still getting a lot of questions about that.
No update certainly from my end. I know, as we said on day 1 or day 2 when we were here, that the RCMP were certainly looking and doing investigations. You know, I'm not going to speak for them, of course, so when they have information available to provide to the public, I'm sure they will.
What's the number of people who are left homeless? In other words, do you know how many people were actual residents versus owning a summer property?
We can get you those numbers. There was a lot of primary residents out there, a lot of secondary residents, so summer homes, cottages, things like that. So the numbers we were estimating, because again, we're still compiling everything from the Red Cross and Salvation Army. There's a lot of assessments still to be done in that area. But we're looking at somewhere, a little over half the people were permanent residents, and then you drill down, there's insured, uninsured, and whatnot. So those are things we're still working through, and that has factored into a lot of these programs we've rolled out here today.
Is there any idea of how many businesses in that region that may have been impacted?
Working through those as well. There's not, so we had a similar program when Lab West was evacuated about a year and a half ago. So there's not as many businesses here. We're looking at likely less than 10. But again, now that these are announced for these businesses that have been impacted, that haven't reached out to Red Cross or Salvation Army, to reach out, and we'll work with them.
These supports of 1,000 and 1,500, do they apply to people who are renting like a basement apartment or something along that line?
Sorry, if they were already renting?
If
Yes,
they
I mean,
were
if they,
renting like a basement apartment?
yeah, so I mean, it's meant for individuals who, because of the not because of the evacuation, or because of the wildfires, are unable to return home in the short term, then the money is going to be provided to them to find somewhere else to live in the short term. Of course, and Minister Corab and I have spent some time talking about this. We've had a lot of groups and people reach out about possible solutions for short-term accommodations, which is great to hear, and obviously, of course, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians always willing to step up. So yeah, the purpose of it is to house people who are unable to be housed in their previous locations due to these fires.
What stage are we at in terms of compensating volunteer firefighters?
Yeah, so we're working through that. Actually, I met with some, as I said, volunteer fire departments yesterday and raised that, just generally speaking, with one of the chiefs, just to get his view on how he felt would be appropriate way to compensate volunteer firefighters and volunteer fire departments who've obviously put in a lot of effort over the past month. Certainly looking at things, they would keep track of how many individuals they sent to the fires and for how long. The suggestion he made was, they certainly compensate them on per diem basis and meal basis when they send them to training sessions, for example. So I think it's important to continue to hear from them about what they feel would be appropriate. What he did say was no one's expecting money, and they are volunteers. But I said that's not really the point here, is that I think they've gone above and beyond, and that's why I feel that we should provide that compensation.
With this $100,000 towards the fire departments, is that only towards the fire departments that was fighting the fires this season?
Yeah, that's the way this funding is for the individual fire departments, the individuals at the fire departments who attended at these forest fires over the past month. They also would have had some potentially equipment and gear that was damaged as well, and damaged quite quickly and unexpectedly in these fires. Again, when I was at the Torbay Fire Department yesterday, the chief from Pooch Cove brought the nozzle from one of the hoses, and it had melted because it was so hot, and he said he had never seen something like that before. So you can imagine what the heat can do to metal, the damage it would have done to gear.
Do you know how many fire departments?
About 35.
Premier, if I may, just to add to that response, there is a separate mechanism for gear that is damaged during natural disasters, and we've already reached out through Fire and Emergency Services to departments to get them to submit a list of an inventory of what it is that they have in that category, and we have a mechanism that already exists to deal with that, and that it will be dealt with.
You're about 10 days from the end of the fire ban. Are you leading one way or another?
No, I think 10 days is a long time when we look at fire behavior, and if it can get better and worse, so we'll get closer to the 10 days before that decision is made, based on obviously the recommendations from the experts.
What's the long-term plan for people who need to use the evacuation center in Harbor Grace?
So in terms of that, 2 nights ago, we only had one person stay overnight. That person, we since found lodging for them. So right now, the Splash Zone in Harbor Grace is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for people to go in for, whether it be meals or assistance, for things like these programs. So these are the short-term measures we've got now. Long-term, we have to have a plan as well. But again, we can't have that full plan out until we have the full assessment of, uninsured homes, insured homes, the infrastructure, bridge, roads. So there's a lot of things that have to encompass that full discussion there. But right now, everyone has been housed, and there's no one staying in the emergency places now.
What kind of forestry activity is going on right now? Is there any logging or similar activity going on?
So there's a provision in the forest fire regulations that allow us to suspend operating permits. So right now, if you're in an area that has a very high or extreme fire indice, you cannot operate. But if you're high, moderate, or low, you are able to operate.
How many people do we know are still under evacuation order right now?
I don't have that number. We can get it. It would be some of the larger, not larger communities, I guess, but the communities, Western Bay, part of Northern Bay, Ocrapic Cove, are still under evacuation orders. So, yeah, we can get that number, though.
What is I know you're talking about like short-term, long-term, I know it's hard to look at a long-term plan, but we're getting a lot of questions about what rebuilding the North Shore is going to look like. Like, where are we with some of these plans, with whether that's short-term or long-term on?
I let Minister Korab speak about that, but I think the immediate approach is to look at short-term. I mean, people need somewhere to live for the next few months while I think we do the work with them on what it looks like to rebuild. I mean, there's still evacuation orders in place for some of these communities, so people haven't been able to return home to see what their communities look like now. And I think that's the first step for people, is to see their communities, to take it all in, to think about it, to talk to their friends and family and community members, and talk about what they want this part of the province to look like in the long term.
Yeah, just to add to that, exactly, some of these residents haven't been into their communities. Some may rebuild, some may decide not to rebuild. So, I think whatever we do going forward, it has to be with the input of the residents. And first and foremost, they need to get in there, and we need to assess, again, from an infrastructure perspective, but they need to assess them personally, what's going to work for them.
Could you go into the specifics of what supports are available for self-employed people?
Yeah, so the specifics on that will be on our, so one of the things I heard from residents multiple times through, again, social media and emails, and I appreciate every email, and I've read everyone, and anyone that's reached out to me that I haven't gotten back to, I will. But one of the things that people had stressed to me is we want information, we want it now. So that's why we wanted to get this out now, I should say. So the details on all that is on our website that people go to. And again, the people that don't have access maybe to the website or want to talk to someone, they can go to the Splash Center. But all the details, again, are on the website, and we can get you, you know, the nitty-gritty, anything you wanted to know from there.
Do you plan on providing any extra supports for those who may have lost their secondary residence?
You know, I think what we look at is, as Mr. Korab said, is who was insured and uninsured. I think a lot of people who had secondary residences would be summer homes. We would think, and what we've been talking about with people is that they would be insured. So we'll go through that process before we make any decisions on that, but we are hopeful that a lot of those, if not all, will be insured. Okay, thanks everyone for coming again this morning, and stay safe.